with her speech entitled, Don't Be a Bore.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's really nice for you to come today to listen to my speech. Toastmasters, guests, Mr. Toastmaster. Would you like to listen to 7 minutes of that? Me reading my speech? No, nor would I. How many of you have sat in college classes, university classes, paid to go to something, and then fallen asleep? Yeah, anybody? Anybody? Me, especially those afternoon ones. Why is it that the really, really smart people in the world seem to think that it doesn't matter how they communicate? It's changing the more that we have multimedia now. But it's still a lot that way. You're the big boss earning the big bucks, and you don't think it matters how you talk. You can bore your audience. Well, my challenge to you tonight is don't be a bore. And I want to give you some tips to help you not to be a bore. First of all, have something to talk about. Every one of us has something unique about us, something unique we know that the rest of us don't know. So know what that is. And if you want to learn something new and then talk about it, great. It'll be useful to you in social settings. It'll be useful to you when you stand up in Toastmasters to speak. There is an accountant friend. Now, how many of you have listened to presentations by accountants? Oh, yes. Well, I want to tell you that I know an accountant, and when he is giving a financial presentation, I want to be there. Why? He is the most interesting accountant I've ever heard. And the reason is that he has put himself in the seat of the audience member. And he understands that most of his audience members don't understand the numbers. And so he translates the numbers for the audience, throws some humor in, makes it interesting. I love to listen to his financial presentations, going through the annual report. It's a challenge usually. He turns it into a challenge. So know what your area of expertise is. Then make sure that you learn to present it in an interesting way. How many of you have been following Chris Hadfield when he was on the International Space Station? Yeah? Not a lot of hands. I don't know, maybe you didn't know he was up there. I tell you, once I discovered that he was up there and those videos, I started watching them. And then one day, I called my 4-year-old granddaughter and the 2.5-year-old granddaughter and I said, do you want to see how somebody in space brushes their teeth? Or how they sleep standing up straight? And after that, all I had to say to them was, do you want to see Chris Hadfield? So here is an astronaut who has spent his entire life learning, who is qualified in so many ways. He could be as boring can be. And yet he has chosen to put himself in the seat of his audience. And he has chosen to make his story interesting to all of us. So much so that it was even interesting for me. I watched the entire spacewalk that happened at the end of his time as commander. It's a talent to do that. So how do you do that? How can every single one of us be sure that we don't bore our audiences? Anybody got any ideas how you can learn not to do that? Any suggestions? No? Nobody?
Keep your speech short and succinct.
Well, that's a really good tip too. And that's why we've got the lights to cut me off. If I keep going too long and you start falling asleep.
It's you have to engage your audience getting in close and personal, and animation, voice changes. Just try and
Yes.
touch them in some way.
So Paul has just recited the entire index of the Competent Communicator Manual.
I haven't even read it.
Wow, there you go. Brilliant. You're in the right place, Paul. Toastmasters. Toastmasters is the one place where you can come and you can give speeches and not be concerned about them being perfect, because every single presentation we do, we will be evaluated and we will learn something new to use the next time. So if you are waiting to give your speeches until you think your speech is good enough or it's perfect so you can get top marks, that is not Toastmasters. We don't give marks, by the way, in here. You evaluate yourself and you will have an evaluator. Okay? Toastmasters is the perfect place to practice this. You can make a total fool of yourself. You can go completely outside of your personality and practice it here. And then ask your audience to evaluate you on whether you were worth listening to. So in conclusion, I challenge every single one of us, myself included, and please write down if I bored you today, because I'd like to know that. This is a pet peeve of mine about presenters. Make sure you put yourself in the shoes of your audience. Get to the point where you actually want to hear yourself speak, and you don't cringe when Rich sends you the video of your presentation. And take it a step further. Would you pay to go hear you speak? Well, at Toastmasters, you can learn to be that good. Mr. Toastmaster?